Where's the beef? Rutgers is landing it. We snatch away a highly regarded recruit from the big boys and add a defensive lineman. Let's get to it.
Manager.
Where's the beef?
Okay, so Rutgers pulls off a robbery. We snatch away a defensive lineman, defensive tackle away from the big boys. On Wednesday, yesterday, we get three-star defensive tackle Tavian Branch, who announced his decision to commit to Rutgers 23rd commit to Rutgers 2026 class. You know, we're ranked 9th, 8th, wherever it is, depending on whose ratings you pay attention to. What's weird about this is that Tavian's a three-star guy, and he had, 24 offers or more, and he was down to Alabama, Penn State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, in addition to some of the other offers you had, like Wisconsin in there. Oklahoma had a 78% chance of landing Tavian, and we snatched him away. Once again, a really good job from Coach Schiano and staff, closing the deal, closing the sale, and landing quality recruits to help build out the program at a position of need. We need some help up front, and it doesn't hurt to have a 6'3.5" to 6'4", 300-pound guy. And he's not just a big boy. We'll get to that in a second. Tavian, once again, Pennsylvania, getting it done. Like to see, especially for football and wrestling, like to see us build a wall around Pennsylvania. I've said this before. Mike from the Night Report must be ecstatic these days about his boys committing to Rutgers. So Tavian's the 23rd ranked overall player in Pennsylvania. You consider how large Pennsylvania is. That's pretty good stuff. And number 82 defensive lineman, according to 247's composite, which means he's probably actually a little higher. At Riverside, he 65 tackles, 25 for loss, 10.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 20 hurries. But he's a disruptor, helping Riverside to a District 2 Class 2A championship. But he's not just a big boy. He's pretty good athletically. He had a 40 time of 4.95. He'll probably take a couple tenths of a second off of that. 9'3" broad jump. 30 reps in the bench press. He'll get more as he starts to fill out and gets on into the Rutgers weight room and nutrition protocols. And a 450 bench. This is another guy, and when you look for core themes around why guys are committing here, even though Rutgers has some issues with establishing a brand, establishing a winning tradition, considering our weird history, which I've talked about a million times, these guys all their comments seem to revolve around relationships with the coaches, relationships with the players, with a feeling of being part of a family. And some of Tavian's quotes: "The visit went well. My favorite part was spending time with Coach Schiano. He just kept telling me how much of a priority he is for them. He also went on to tell me about the staff's plans and how they would use him." He goes on to say some other things, but we need guys. We need the big boys up front. He's the second defensive line commit for 2026, along with Jermaine Polk, who's another guy that's a big upside. He was here, a couple weeks ago for his official visit, and as I mentioned previously, it was thought that Oklahoma had the lead, 78% chance, the crystal ball. And he, went back to, I believe he went back to Oklahoma a few times, and he said he loved it there. He wanted to make sure that's where he wanted to be, but he said, and his quote was, Rutgers is a little different. Hey, Rion, you heard it here first. Yeah, we're a little bit different. But he said the big thing about Rutgers was their consistency. They stayed consistent with him from beginning to end, and that made him feel wanted. Talked about this a bunch of times. These are just young guys, right? They want to feel like they're wanted. They're not just a commodity. They're not just a hired gun. They're not just a mercenary. You're part of their family. You're 18 years old. You spend 18 years of your life with your family. You need to have the consistency and discipline and all those things that come along with family when you leave home and go across country or wherever you might be going to a college campus. And they want to know that you have their best interests in heart. You know what you're doing. You're going to put them in a position to win. We've talked about this a bunch. He made his decision this past week. He called Rutgers a few days ago, and he said they were really excited about the news. And here's, talking about family. It is a family-based program, and they have multiple defensive line coaches. Rutgers is a program on the rise. They have great coaches, and it is a place I will have a chance to play early at. Another consideration. We talk about the new era of NCAA athletics and player movement, constant turnover. What it takes, it also gives back. The guy in there that I was going to have to be ready. A lot of guys are talking about the new era of the transfer portal going to hurt high school recruiting. We've seen 1,000 articles on that. But if you're a guy with some upside and you got the right attitude, you're putting in the work, you can play right away because of the constant turnovers. And once again, what it take away, it also give it. Transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff. And Tavian goes on to say, Coach Schiano has put a lot into the program. He said the 2026 class is going to be strong. He's building up the program, and he will get big-time guys in this class. I think this class will shock some people. And this is a great thing when you're getting highly regarded recruits to talk positively about the program. And then they can help influence guys that they know and other high-profile athletes to join them. And when you think about, Pennsylvania, and, I'm in Huntington County. I live about 17 miles from Pennsylvania, and there's pretty significant Pennsylvania influence. People coming here to work, people moving. I'm from Bergen County. Spent my whole life just outside New York City. Little different vibe out here, little more less crazy, to be quite frank, a little more laid back. But if you are in Eastern Pennsylvania and want to come over to this side, get a little closer to New York City, little less laid, unless you're in the Philly area, right? Philly's a little crazy. But once you get outside Philly and you get north, you get west a little bit, it's kind of rural. Being a part of a more cosmopolitan environment, but yet you're still kind of close to home. It's the best of both worlds. So you can be closer to the New York City metro area, media, marketplace, while at the same time, an hour or two, you're back home in Pennsylvania, wherever you might be from, and it still feels like home. So more effusive quotes from Tavian. Coach Schiano made him feel wanted. He's a good person. He is for the players, and he cares about people. he cares for his guys. How he made him feel on his official trip was big. So once again, establishing. Look, Penn State was on Branch's list. I guess James Franklin is no Greg Schiano when it comes to being genuine. Although I take Penn State's execution on the field any day. That being said, Tavian was going to visit Happy Valley this weekend. That visit will not take place. His recruitment is shut down. And his quote is, Rutgers is where I want to be. So good job by everybody involved, including Tavian. I'm amazed at some of these kids at how well they answer questions in the media and their comments. They are pretty mature on how they express themselves to the media and to the public. So good job by Tavian. Good job by Rutgers University. This year is going to be a challenge. We talked about this yesterday, how Phil Steele was talking about, hey, this is going to be our best roster ever, and we might have a worse win-loss. Well, yeah. That's what happens when Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Illinois, Iowa are on the schedule. I would quite frankly, look at this year. If we're 7-6 and you get a bowl win, you're 7-5, get a bowl win, that's a big win for us. Because if you look at our recruiting, even though we're top 10 right now, I think we have four-star guys. Everybody else is a 3-star. I talked about this. That's fine. So we're not going to be in that top 20. We'll probably be where we normally are in our low 30s, around 30 somewhere. But the execution on the field has to catch up to the recruiting rankings. Right? Not that the recruiting rankings are an end-all and be-all, but the Alabamas, Ohio States of the world, Georgias of the world, they're always going to have a stacked lineup of 4 and 5-star recruits. Tavian's unique because he's a 3-star guy that all those guys are after. And, recruiting, rating services, depending, I'm in the wine and spirits business. I've been, and what helps us sell product a lot is and wine guys in the industry hate it, but, it's part of the business that it helps out, whether it's the wine enthusiast, the wine spectator, Robert Parker, James Suckling, Distiller Magazine, Whiskey Advocate, they all come out with their ratings. And a lot of time when I taste through these products, like literally dozens and dozens and dozens every week, and I'm like, this is 93. Dude, you got to be kidding me. So when you talk about ratings and rankings, we ranted a couple weeks ago about paying college athletes and NIL, and even after we hired our William Tate, our new president, talking about, would we take a hit academically? Everybody's focused on the U.S. News rankings, and we're up in that, and that's good. There are some things we'll never be able to get us into the top 2025 class size, some aspects of research, yada, yada, yada. But now we climbed into 45, 49, whatever it was, after being in the 50s and 60s for several years. But Forbes has us at 79. Other rating services have us at different spots. So it all really depends on who you're looking at, who you're listening to, who has sway and influence. But Tavian is a 3-star guy, having the amount of teams chasing after him, when Alabama and Oklahoma and Penn State are chasing after you, that's good stuff. So even if we have a roster filled with 3-star guys, these are guys that if they were at other universities, probably would have a really good chance to start right away. And that's a departure from the past where we had depth issues at offensive line. You have an injury, you're screwed. You have a quarterback position, you have an injury, you're screwed. At linebacker, defense, you have an injury, you're screwed. Now we have a roster filled with not just solid guys, with guys with good upside who eventually are going to play. And if they were somewhere else, they probably would be. So even though it's not sexy and it may not translate on the field, the fact that we're stacking a roster filled with guys that absolutely have the ability to play in the Big Ten, that's a big bet for us. That's progress. Might not be for other universities that are more successful, but that's progress for us. And I would look to make the leap next year. I don't know what the schedule is going to look like, but taking baby steps, building the building blocks, building the foundation of the house. And I think that's Greg Schiano's approach and his style, is to set a solid foundation for the program. And look, in the new world of the player movement, NIL, we're going to have to do, and we've done a pretty good job with this in the past, our retainment rate is going to have to be there. We're going to have to be on, not only be consistent and constantly staying in contact and communing with these guys during the recruiting process, but now we're going to have to take that approach to keep them, at least if we want them. If somehow they don't turn out, what could help you out that way? You have a guy that you think you can turn into a starter in short order, and it's not coming together. There are opportunities in the portal. Take some getting used to. Nonetheless, once again, good job by everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week into your weekend. Any news on an AD, any rumors of scuttlebutt, we'll be sure to talk about it, and we'll see you.